Hello, everyone. It is the Solder Sesh. Woohoo! We are back after SuperCon. SuperCon was super exciting. It was the first time I was there, and I got to do a talk, and that was fun. And I got to meet so many amazing people. So many amazing people. It was like people from my phone came out in real life, and I got to actually meet them and hug them, and it was awesome. Yeah, it was basically just like it kind of went to 4 days. I'll talk about that in a bit, but it was basically like a 4 day frenzied maker fest, and I was completely like out of it on Tuesday. I'm still like, my voice is still like a little bit scratchy and recovering just from talking to so many people. Um, but yeah, it was great. On Yeah, let's see. So I'm gonna show a little bit of all of the fun stuff that we got and traded and made and stuff like that for SuperCon. And then I also had the opportunity to accompany a bunch of people, but it was kind of like instigated by Chris Miller and by Helen Lee, this trip to Apex, which is this crazy surplus store in the San Fernando Valley. And I kind of feel personally betrayed that none of my old coworkers, when I was working in the San Fernando, well, just just adjacent to the San Fernando Valley, like, these guys knew this place was there and nobody ever told me. And I am feeling a little bit betrayed, and I'm giving everybody I used to work with a very hard time about that. So, as they deserve. But yeah, so the surplus store, I mean, it's a giant dusty surplus store full of weird electronics and shit. But it also has like rockets in the backyard, and like bomb casings and missile launchers. And I swear there was a rack of what looked like mines. And then there's this entire like railroad container full of instruments. And it was just like crazy weird instruments. Like, you don't even know what this shit does, or at least I didn't even know what this shit does. It's not just like oscilloscopes. It was stuff that looked like it was in a submarine that had like a mask, or maybe it was like a tank viewing thing. And there was stuff in Russian, and it was just kind of crazy, Nixie tubes, CRT displays. And the best part about the whole thing, so this whole container was just like lined with these instruments and like rack mounted instrument panels. And the best thing was there were some light switches. So you could like turn off the fluorescent lights and turn on all of the instruments. And then they were all just like glowing and blinking and twinkling and doing their thing. And it was like being on the set of some crazy sci-fi music, some crazy sci-fi movie. Yeah, it was pretty phenomenal. Yeah, and then so they rent out some of their really old weird shit as movie props, and I think that's probably how they make most of their money, maybe. um, which is good because we don't want this weird ass place to go away. And so some things were labeled like, prop rental only, not for sale. But yeah, other things are just totally for sale. And I'll go over. I didn't get anything too weird. I just got like a few things from there. It was kind of overwhelming. Like, you could go crazy in that place and get a bunch of stuff that you have no use for ever. So okay, but SuperCon first. So what we are seeing right here is Joey Castillo's open book. And I don't have any books on it yet, but he and Helen sort of like did this impromptu workshop on the floor on Friday. So we were all like sitting and laying on the floor and doing some surface mount soldering. It was super good times. Yeah, next I have a list of stuff for next time, including just some head mounted magnifiers. I mean, I had my reading glasses on, but yeah, I usually use magnification when I'm doing surface mount components, so this was especially challenging for me, but I did it, I made it, and it freaking works, and I'm pretty excited about that. I only had to resolder, I actually had to resolder the battery contacts. They kind of popped off, because yeah, those are, I mean, it's funny, like, yeah, this kind of battery contact and some CR2032 ones and things like that, especially the surface mount style, they really don't like wetting out to solder very much, especially like the lead-free stuff. So sometimes you have to persuade it a little bit more. But this is so cool, and I love how the instructions on how to make it are actually on the back, and they're numbered. So like you start with the on-off switch here, number 1, and then you go to number 2, the reset button, and like I think 2A is the lock button. And yeah, it's just entirely on the back. And then there are some optional components. I'm not really sure what those are right now yet. I think expansion stuff. Yeah, and then there's this super thin e-paper display. And when you're done, basically you can put a text file on an SD card, load it in, and you can read it. So super neat. I don't think that you can buy kits anywhere for this yet, although Joey will tell me if I'm wrong. We also talked about it a little bit on the live stream that I did with Joey a few weeks ago. So if you're interested in learning more, definitely check that out. But yeah, I don't know if he's gearing up for like a little, you know, run of kits for this or not, but it would definitely be cool. And of course, you can, you know, check out the project on GitHub. It's completely open, hence open source, hence the open book. And yeah. Oh, and also thank you, Seth, for printing out the cover for me. I have the super cool dual color oops out of filament one. Love it. Awesome. Okay, so that was open book fun times on Friday. And then what I was giving out were these laser cut things, because we just got a laser cutter and it's so exciting. Oh my God, I love that thing. Okay, so I was just playing around, really. I mean, I was learning Lightburn, making up excuses to do text on a curve, all of that stuff, you know, burn your logo into things, why not? And yeah, it started off as just like a logo and a round thing and Alpenglow Industries. And then I was like, oh, I think it should be like kind of a badge. Because of course, right? And so I don't know, it just kind of came to me that, you know, I could make a badge of authenticity that by, you know, just giving it to people would make them legit. And it's just a thing, like, you know, we all have those days where we feel like we're just not enough and things like that. And so I just wanted to make a little reminder that said, you are enough. You are legit. Don't doubt yourself. So, and it was pretty fun handing these out. Like, people saw them and were like, "Whoa, that's cool! I'm legit, yeah!" And that was great. That was exactly what I was going for. So yes, it is the Alpenglow Industries Maker Badge of Authenticity. I'm legit, bitch. And of course, as I was handing them out, I would hand them out and say, "You're legit, bitch." And that was fun too, because swearing is fun. Okay, what else? Oh, so yeah, this is also like the stupidest, simplest badge in the world. It is a self-blinking, you know, rainbow LED with a CR2032 Coincell holder that already has a switch in it and already is wired. And we just stripped these a little bit more before, like, you know, bagging up the kit. And all you have to do is wrap the wires around the legs of your LED. The LED is just poked through, legs are folded over, wrap your wire around the legs. And then I folded the legs back over on themselves a little bit to like have a little bit of a staple effect, just because the one that I didn't do that on, the wires that were wrapped around would occasionally just like slide right off the end. So this just traps them there. And yeah, there you go. Pretty bomber. It's funny though, because like, you know, SuperCon full of electronics nerds and soldering irons, right? a bunch of the people who actually put them together, right, that they're like, of course, they soldered them together because that's what you do with wires and LEDs, right? And so I was like, no, you didn't have to solder it. If you didn't, you know, you can, but you didn't have to. So I want to do some more things along these lines. We have some ideas for maybe some last minute holiday festivity type things to do with them. And I'm going to see about getting some stuff out before the holidays. Because I think it can be a kind of a stopping point for people if somebody wants to do a little electronics activity with students or something like that, especially younger students, and they don't know how to solder, they don't have soldering irons, they don't have those materials. You know, it's still nice to be able to do a little electronics activity anyway that doesn't require soldering. Solderless breadboards are great for that too. I did a little remote class with a solderless breadboard during COVID, like that summer that it started. And even though I had like labeled the breadboards and it was like, okay, this wire goes from like A2 to F3, that kind of thing, it was still a little bit difficult for younger students to kind of get what was happening. So I feel like this kind of thing might be cool for like younger kids, or just, you know, anybody really, but any place where you just don't have access to a soldering iron. So yeah, that's the legit badge. And then I also had some of these to give out, and I can't find like my stash of actual ones that were left over, but so you get to see the fun one, the cool one. Know that that is not actually backwards. The video is not actually backwards. It is cut backwards because I'm cool like that. And yeah, apparently I learned in Lightburn that when you nest things, so we had like one like this, one like that, one like that, one like that. When you nest things, you have to mirror in both X and Y. Very important, both. But what this is it's a resistor bender. And you might be familiar with the plastic ones that are out there. You know, I forget who it is that makes them, but, you know, somebody has a injection molded plastic ones, and they're cool. We have a few here. They're very useful. But one thing that's always bugged me, like just a little bit about them, is that they have straight sides, right? The sides are perfectly straight, so it's like a big trapezoid. And it has just pissed me off that I couldn't get the perfect 90-degree bend off of them. They were always just like a little off when you bend them. And, you know, not that I'm persnickety at all about it, but Robin's dad actually came over the other day, like, you know, maybe a week before SuperCon, with a file that he designed. And so, you know, so he had these flat sides, and I was like, wow, that's a great idea to like laser cut one of these. And so then I took his file and I was like, I want to make stepped sides though. I want you to be able to get that like perfect bend and have this like perfect like 90-degree surface to bend against. So yeah, so I took his file and I modified it a lot, learned even more about Lightburn, and also just put some of the most common equations, which are definitely backwards, in here, for when you're just kind of learning about resistors and electricity and voltage. We have V equals IR, voltage equals current times resistance, and P equals IV, power equals current times voltage. So, and then the quarter watt is just the size of the resistor that this jig fits. So yeah, there you go. Bend your resistors, have the perfect lengths for breadboards, and have nice little 90-degree surfaces to bend them against. We're probably going to make some of these and have them in the shop. Why not? There are a couple that I made out of cherry that look really nice. So we'll probably have like, you know, a cheap version, which this is just your typical standard plywood, and then we'll have like the nicer version that's like out of cherry. For the discerning electronics enthusiast. Okay, what else do we have going on? That's the stuff that I brought. Other stuff that people traded with me and gave me and stuff there. So many cool things. Thank you everybody who like gave me stickers or, you know, whatever. It was really awesome to just like go around and exchange stuff with people. So this I'm super excited about. I got to meet Make It Hacken, whose real name I have forgotten by now, and maybe they don't want their real name on the internet anyway. But hi, Make It Hacken. It was awesome to meet you. And they gave me this little cool, it's their booze board sow, and they made it for DEF CON. And I saw this online, and I was like, oh man, this is super cool. So yeah, they gave me one of these, and of course I gave them a legit badge in return. And you know what it is it's a little DIY breathalyzer. Which is just great. I love it. And so like that's the little like you know, nozzle. You even have little covers for it, little plastic covers for it. And yeah, it's a freaking breathalyzer. So I kind of feel like there might be, I don't know, a solder sesh tradition coming. I mean, I haven't drank a beer with a solder sesh in a while, but like I used to pretty much have one with everyone because, you know, I had a rule that I shouldn't add anything else to my plate unless I could do it while drinking a beer. So, you know, but I feel like we should do a solder sesh where like I drink a beer or two throughout it, and we do like the test of the booze board sow. I'm sure somebody else has already done that online though, right? But yeah, look at all these cool stickers it came with. Okay, cool. What else we got here? Okay. So this is just a thing of hilarity. DigiKey has branded Band-Aids, which I just thought was kind of freaking hilarious. So yes, we have DigiKey Band-Aid, which is obviously too precious to ever use. I need a Band-Aid. Don't use the DigiKey one. All right. So we also have the USB Nugget. I got to meet Alex Lind. It was like at the very, very end of SuperCon, and it was super cool to meet him. Like really, really inspiring, and obviously had a passion and love of electronics, which was awesome. And this is the USB Nugget, and it's in this super cute cat shape. And their company name is HackCat, HAKCAT, HackCat. And this is a little thing, I haven't played with it yet, but I'm very excited to. It's a little thing that teaches you a little bit about like Wi-Fi security and hacking. And so it's sort of like this little learning tool for information security and cybersecurity, and it like does little cyber attacks and stuff like that. So that is something that I really don't know anything about. I'm not that type of a programmer. I don't do that kind of electronics. And so yeah, so I'm excited to learn more and check this whole thing out. And there's this really cute little 3D printed cover for it. There's a D-pad that goes here that you can also 3D print. So I'm gonna do one of those. I got the last case, so he was out of the D-pads when he gave this one to me. But yeah, this is really cute and very exciting, and you can learn more about that at usbnugget.com. Oh, and also Make It Hacken the booze board. You can get that on Tindy. So he's got a Tindy shop. Okay, what else? I finally got to meet Nick in person. Like a group of us have been occasionally hanging out online, and he's part of that. And so it's always cool to meet somebody in person that you like have actually talked to multiple times before. And he does really cool badges for DEF CON 2. And we already had, let's see. Oh shit. Might be out of batteries on this. Yeah. Can you grab another battery? Oh, just had a little bit. Oh, actually, it might be that I torqued this battery holder when I was taking the other battery out. We'll see if we can get new ones though. But this one's super cool. It responds to motion. It has like a little accelerometer in it, and it has this super cool flame effect when just like when you touch it or bump it. And there we go. That's more like it. So yes. So yeah, this is a skull. So he has a Tindy Store Nerf hammer. You can look that up. And this is one of his badges that he made for DEF CON that I got a while back because I just loved the artwork on it. I like the line drawing aspect of this and how it's all exposed. It's all exposed copper. So, you know, it is very shiny and you have sort of this very thin exposed copper artwork there. And like the kind of, you know, it's hot or soldered level. And so it's not perfectly even throughout, which I think is cool. It kind of gives the skull like a little bit more of a three-dimensional look because there are like some blobs in places and like on the teeth and stuff, which is kind of neat. But yeah, so he also made this Dave badge and gave me one of those. And this was definitely me at Apex in that room of blinky lights. And if you don't believe me, Helen Lee tweeted out a video where I was in the very end of it with this completely stunned look on my face. So yeah. So yeah, I feel like it was a theme for the whole weekend, just like so many awesome things. But yeah, I really like the style of this one too, and I like the random blinks. He was saying on this badge that only 6 LEDs are lit at any given point in time, and but they're on for such little time that it makes, you know, your eyes can't react fast enough. So it's a little persistence of vision-y that way. And I'm gonna actually see if I can turn this light off because it'll probably make the LEDs even better. Ah, yeah, there we go. So yeah, so sparkly, so sparkly. So yeah, it looks more like 12 are on at a time, but it's really only 6. And it's basically a bunch of shift registers and an at-tiny, I think 45. So fun stuff. Here, this one will be better now too. Oh yeah, flames. Flames, sparkles. Love it. All right, cool. What else we got? We got so many things. I'm gonna leave this one on because this one actually goes off after a while. This one can stay on for quite some time. I don't know how long exactly it lasted, but yeah, when you don't, you can see how it finally like kind of flickers out, and then it'll be off until you bump it again. But we're not gonna wait for that to happen. Okay. I think the last thing that like was like given and traded and stuff was like this super cute and cool little DeWalt set. Thank you so much, Mark. Awful curious. And it's just like, it's a great little toolbox. And thank you so much for it. It's got sockets and driver and is really like nice and compact. The only thing that their product development team could have done differently was maybe make the sockets a little bit like snugger fitting. I'm very thankful that he warned me about this because I totally would have done it. But yeah, if you open it with that side on top, you basically dump all the sockets out. So hence this side up. I also wrote no on the other side. Always good to have two things. Cool. Well, I think that is most of what we got from other people. What did we get ourselves? So we went to Apex and then All Electronics afterwards, which is, All Electronics is like a, it is surplusy, but it's more new stock of weird random things. So like lots of switches and like little speakers and buttons, and it's more components oriented, I would say. And they do have a website. I've definitely shopped on their website before. But it was cool to be able to just like go through the store and like browse through like all of these cardboard bins full of all sorts of cool things. So I got, let's see, I got some toggle switches, and it's all like relatively inexpensive. There we go. So like this switch was only like $2.60, and it's relatively large. It has like this on-off plate. It's not the burliest plate. It would definitely needs to be on a backing so that it doesn't bend, but it just has very nice action. Oh, so clicky. Welcome to my AMSR stream. Oh, are you sure you didn't have that beer? I'm sure. And so this is another one. This one had just, you know, two word is escaping me, terminals per pole, and this one just has one terminal per pole. So, but pretty much the same thing. Also very nice and clicky. What am I gonna make with it? I don't know, but you need good toggle switches. And this similarly was a nice rocker switch. Robin here is just like cracking up next to me, like, I can't believe we're doing this. What the fuck? Yeah, what'd you do on the live stream? I just clicked buttons for an hour. That's what I did. Okay. Then what else do we have? So also at All Electronics, I got some pretty nice little like 4-digit 7-segment displays. Again, no, I don't have an immediate use for these, but like these are useful, right? So these have like kind of normal sized legs on them. I think that these were red, and then these were green, I think. And the size of the segment is pretty much exactly the same, but it has these super long legs, like maybe for wire wrapping or something. And yeah, similar sort of thing, just 4 digits, 7 segments, can display voltages on it, RPM, whatever you need. And then these, 2 for $1. I couldn't afford to not buy them. These are, I don't even know what I would call them, LED domes. There are 6, I believe, just white LEDs in each of these domes, and they're kind of big. So yeah, we could probably blind somebody with these. I don't know, 2 for $1. And then I think the last interesting thing from All Electronics is thermal switches of unknown specifications. So yeah, I have never played with thermal switches, so we'll have to do that and figure it out. I have no idea like how hot you have to get them, or whether they are normally on and then go off, or normally off and then go on. I don't know, but there's got to be, I was just seeing if I had a voltmeter around here. Oh, I do, multimeter, look at that. We can solve one of these mysteries right now. Okay, beeping it out. All right, so it is on, and then when it gets hot, it goes off. And that makes sense because I think that they're mostly used for like cutoffs for machinery and stuff. Like, you know, I know that my laser has a thermal switch in it. So I think it's part of a fire detection system where if it gets so hot that it's like, oh shit, there's a fire going on inside of this thing, it'll just shut everything down. So, but I don't know if it's, I would doubt that like full laser power or anything would be going through that switch. It's probably just like an input to a processor. So I don't know if that one's like normally closed or normally open, but I could see them probably going either way. All right, thermal switches, woohoo. What else? Okay, I think that was it from All Electronics. Then we have treasures from Apex. As I said, I didn't get much because it was kind of overwhelming. I got some purple rivets. They're pretty. Do I have a rivet gun? No, I don't. But I have purple rivets now. And so if you're just like, holy shit, I have the exact use, I need some purple rivets, hit me up, because, you know, I don't really have use for purple rivets yet, but I feel like they should really like go in something, right? All right. Ciao. Oh, we do have some people watching. Oh, good. There's like been nobody in the comments or in the chat, and so I'm like, am I talking to myself? Maybe. Oh well, who cares? I can do that all day long. I live alone. I have a cat. Awesome. Okay, so thumb wheel switches. These are cool. I think I might like the box better than I like the actual switches. But yeah, I mean, check out that digital graphic design. That is some hot stuff. So these are just switches that basically allow the user to input a number, and then they have a bunch of pins on the back that allow a processor or whatever to figure out what number that was that the user input. And they just have these little tabs on them so that you push the tabs and they go round and round. Ooh, more AMSR. Clicky, so clicky. It's kind of interesting though, because this one, the highest digit, we have 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. Those are our only choices. So it must have been for something kind of specific, and I think that is very interesting. I'm like, okay, so what would you only have 2 or 3 on your most significant digit? Not even a 1, right? Isn't that weird? I think it's weird. Somebody probably knows what these were used for. And then it has, a 10th digit, and then it has like a double digit for hundredths, but it only goes like 0, 0, 25, 50, 75. And then I assume, oh no, did I break it? Oh, interesting. It might only go, it doesn't like completely roll over. Okay. So yeah, only goes up to 0.75 quarters. So yeah, I don't know. Thumb wheel switches, they got to be useful for something. Ooh, last thing, also clicky. It's a thing. It's a thing. Good tactile feedback. People who are with me on this. When you know, you know. It's a volume thingy. It's got a big ass coil on it. It has input 1, 2, output 1, 2. And when I first saw this, I was expecting it to just, be kind of this normal volume knob, but no, there are discrete positions. And it only goes up to 9. Doesn't even go up to 10, much less 11. But I don't know. I'm kind of interested to play with this. I also love how it's like wall form factor, So if you need to pump up the volume, there we go. I got the knob to do it. Okay. I think that covers pretty much all of SuperCon and associated goodies to do with SuperCon. Let's see, did I forget anybody else? Oh, just a shout out to Mr. Twinkle Twinkie, who I finally got to meet in person. He makes some sweet badges. Oh my God. He made this Totoro badge. I had seen it online, but like you have to experience this badge in person because it's fuzzy. It is fuzzy. It like he cut out this like velveteen material that has adhesive on the back and put it on the front of the badge. And, the badge is like in the shape of Totoro. And so, yeah. And so it's cut out to perfectly complement the badge shape. And it's fuzzy. Like I've never touched a fuzzy circuit board before. And I just thought that was cool as hell. And he's also doing some neat stuff where, well, actually both him and Nick were doing this on one of their badges, but he had, so the Totoro, its belly is all white and it's got a clock in its belly. And he has some RGB LEDs behind it, but it's kind of cool because, we've done some stuff with using the FR4 as a diffuser on our badges, and you know, with moderate degrees of success. And what he was doing was he was using the, you know, the FR4 and then the copper around it, of course, to create the dark areas, but also it was diffusing through the I guess it was, I'm not sure if it was silk screen or solder mask actually on the Totoro. I'll have to ask him about that. But basically, you have a solid white patch on the front, so it sort of creates this like dead face. So you don't see that there are digits behind it until they're illuminated, and that's kind of cool. Nick was also doing that on one of his badges. He has like this flaming skull one, which is super cool. And I think that he said, yeah, he used white solder mask on the front. So yeah, interested to maybe try something like that and play with it. I think that Jason played with that too a little bit. Jason Kuhn on one of his, I don't think it was like on a Fibonacci. I think it was on one of his like light up animal circuit boards, like either the octopus or the chameleon, maybe. So yeah, neat stuff. Always interesting to talk to badge makers, people who are doing like cool art stuff with circuit board or going for a specific look that, you know, definitely is not a typical circuit board thing. All right. We could talk about some Alpenglow stuff too. Jesus, I can't even say my own company name sometimes. So we've been going to things, taking stuff to things, doing these displays, and this is basically a display of all of our surface mount badges. And gosh, we haven't really, it had been, we took a break in the summer from live streaming, and then we released like a bunch of things in that time. So we hadn't really even had a chance to talk about them very much. But one of the boards that we released during the summer was Foxy Pride. And the artwork is by Leeborg. And it has a 555 timer on the back. And has a 555 timer on the back and a decade counter. So the 555 timer is making the pulse train. It goes into the decade counter, which then enables and then disables each of its outputs in sequence. So each of the LEDs are hooked up to one of the outputs of the decade timer, and that's why they go through and blink in sequence. And the idea for this badge is that we ship it, it's a kit, it's a surface mount kit, it's all 1206s, so it's actually very, very beginner friendly. And we ship it with a whole bunch of different colors of LEDs. So you can create your own pride flag with your LED colors. And I've been wearing mine as badge. I write my name and my pronouns there. And yeah, it's just a cool, fun way to have a name tag, I think. So also because we went to SuperCon in August, you know, we needed to essentially make displays like this of our boards so that people can see them. If you only have like one board out, they're just so small. It's a big convention center. There are lights and stuff everywhere. It'll just get lost. So we basically made these displays that was like one display of each type of each board that we make. So this one is one display of like a bunch of different boards, but we had for the show, we had like one that was all Foxy Prides and one that was all Krampuses and one that was all PS I Hate Yous, so that it would be above where those items were hanging. And like a couple months beforehand, I was thinking about this and I was like, oh, I do not want to go through hundreds. It would be hundreds of Coincells to just do one weekend. And not only was that kind of wasteful, but it was also just like a big pain in the ass. And so I was like, we've got to find a way to hardwire this shit. And so we have one board here by Babaricus. I will figure out the actual name and we'll link it in the notes. But it's a tin seller, and it's a Coincell board where you stack up like two PCBs that come with the kit. and solder them together. And it allows you, it has some holes for multimeter probes, and it's more for measuring the current that that something that's powered by a Coincell is taking. And I was like, man, I need something that's kind of like that, but that has, well, for us, has both the option of USB power, 5 volts to the badge, or 3 volts to the badge, because it's another thing about Foxy Pride. So you might notice, might be better on this one because this one has more colors. You might notice that we have some funky colors of LEDs on here because we needed all of the ones on the Pride Rainbow, right? So that also means we have pink and cyan and purple, which is really a UV LED. And all of those LEDs tend to have higher forward voltages that are right around 3 volts. So you can hook them straight up to a Coincell battery, but they tend to not last for very long. And also, you know, with this particular board, we're kind of getting, oh no, we do have resistors for each one. That's right. We were going to get tricky with it, but we decided not to because we had so many LEDs that had different voltage drops. We wanted them to all have similar brightness. So that's why we sized each resistor for each LED. And yeah, and we wanted it to last a while. The UV LED didn't last very long when we powered it just straight off of a Coincell, which is 3 volts. So we're like, yeah, we really need more overhead for that. It was also really dim. And so what we did, instead of shipping this with a CR2032 battery, we ship it with 2 CR2016s. And you just stack them, put them in series, shove them in the battery holder, and there you go. Now you have 6 volts of overhead instead of just 3, and that's plenty to drive that 3 volt LED. So yeah, we have badges now. Let's see, it's Foxy Pride. Oh, and the Radiant Rainbow, the through hole one, because that one also had some of those self-blinking LEDs. I think, well, it was definitely the blue ones, and I want to say maybe the green ones too, or maybe it was the yellow ones. I think it was the yellow ones. Anyway, some of those have a forward voltage of right around 3 volts too. So we wanted those to light up for longer and last a good long time. So that one also ships with 2 CR2016s. So now we have badges that take 6 volts and some badges that take 3 volts. And so anyway, I made this Coincell power board that is an adapter for it. I'm actually getting them made double thickness. So it's a 3.2 millimeter thick PCB, so you don't have to solder 2 boards together. You just basically stick it right in. And do we have one that's like free on that little bench?
I used
no. Oh, we used them all. Ah, that's okay. We have a screwdriver, so I can just take this one off, maybe without breaking the chain. It's probably wired down a little bit, but we'll see if we can do this. I'll undo it. Oh, no. Okay, so on the back, we have a few different connectors. So we have the USB connector where voltage is coming in, and then we have 2 JSTs that you can use for daisy chaining it. It just daisy chains the USB voltage because I wanted the daisy chained voltage to be the higher voltage, to be 5 volts, so that you didn't have to worry about like wire drop and could hook 10 of them together and, you know, still have 3 volts at the end of the line, essentially. So yeah, with 5 volts, even if you only have like 4.5 volts or whatever at the end of the line, you're still going through a little LDO regulator, voltage regulator. So that's what's producing 3 volts. And then you have a switch here on the badge where you can power it either from 3 volts or 5 volts. And then you have an on-off switch for the badge as well that only controls the power going out to your actual badge. So you can turn a badge off, but still have the power daisy chained through to others. So yes, developed this board and then decided that I didn't want, so we made a whole bunch of these for silicon and they worked great. It's It was a lifesaver for us for making all of these displays. And, you know, I got a pretty good response when I put them on the internet and when I gave them out to some people at SuperCon because we had some extras. And so I decided to make some. Of course, I wanted to change a few things. So they're not like the exact same board, close enough though. I changed the USB. I was using a B micro because that was just kind of easy. And I'm now using a USB-C. So that will be a little bit nicer there. And I did some stuff where I tried, oh, I actually have some here. Look at this. So I got some prototypes made from Osh Park where I tried to like have a little waist in the board. And for prototypes, I did just like stack two on top of each other and like soldered the ground through and did it that way. But yeah, the thing, my idea was I wanted to be able to use it in, just happen to have all of these here. This is great. I wanted to be able to use it in this style badge as well, where you have the Coincell coming in from the top instead of sliding in from the side. But it turns out that that was trickier than I expected it to be. And I went through 2 rounds of Osh Park prototypes and neither of them really worked very well. The deal is that a Coincell battery, the bottom is actually a smaller diameter than the top. So you can see that the cross section is sort of like a little bit, see if I can get it over the white there so you can see it a little better. It's like a little bit trapezoidal in shape, where you have like kind of this, it's not really a chamfer, but it's almost, the effect is almost like that on the bottom, where this bottom is a little bit smaller than the top and the walls. And the Coincell battery holders kind of, they rely on that for you to be able to like slide the battery in from the top. And what happened was when I made that 20 millimeters, you know, you're like if you're looking at a cross section and you're thinking about sliding it in, you actually have a bigger than 20 millimeter part that you're sliding in because it's like the corner to corner distance. And so I could like barely shove them in the holder, and then I like couldn't, it was really hard to get it out. I was like, wow, you're gonna rip pads off if you put this in a badge. So I then tried one that was a little bit smaller diameter, and it kind of had the same problem. And the thing is, if you get the diameter too small, those style of badges also rely on that 20 millimeters of the top to sort of be pressing on the sides and to friction fit in. So when the diameter of the whole board got too small, it just wouldn't even stay in. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going back to my original slide-in thing, and we're going to do it that way. And I might revisit the idea of the top compatible one, but it's either going to have to be 2 things. I'm either going to have to see how expensive it is to chamfer the edge of a board, which I don't really know the answer to, but I think it's an interesting idea. I think it can be done for sure. But so we could try to chamfer that bottom edge, or do sort of like the 2 board stack up sort of thing maybe. Or I have like some other ideas now actually, because another friend had an interesting idea about sliding contacts today. So I might think about that a little bit more. But yeah, that is mostly it. Oh, so the other things that we did, so we now have like a full solder weather series, which you've probably seen a little bit online. And that's our like intro to soldering series. Let's see, there's a good place to put this one in. Right there, probably. Come on. What's that? There we go. Woo! So these are all of our little cloudy weather series now. And we have Happy Rain Cloud, we have Angry Storm Cloud, we have Chilly Snow Cloud, we have Sunny Surprise, and then we have Radiant Rainbow. And I would say that the Happy and Angry remain like the easiest ones to solder, followed by Chilly, maybe. And then then this guy, Sunny Surprise, and then Radiant Rainbow, just because it has like a lot more LEDs on it. Essentially, there's just a lot more soldering. And we taught some just little soldering workshops at Maker Faire Orange County, and it's pretty much all kids, right? And I have a lot of experience teaching adults how to solder, but not that many with kids. And so it was very, very interesting to see some of the differences and to see what things were definite struggles. So we have a bunch of like tiny little changes that we want to make to these boards for the next rev that'll just make them just like that much easier, you know, that much more beginner friendly. But yeah, I mean, they're doing pretty good. Like they all soldered stuff, and like pretty much all of their stuff worked, and that was very exciting. So it was fun to do that. So yeah, we have whole solder series. And by the way, we're also, if anybody who's like part of an educational institution or organization or whatever is watching this, we are offering like some discounts to makerspaces, organizations, institutions if you want to do a bulk order of some kits. So, you know, just contact us, hit me up off the website. So yeah, there's a contact form on our website, or you could just, you know, Carrie at alpenglowindustries.com gets to me. So there we go. What else do we have going on? Oh, SMT Gardens, last but definitely not least. So I wanted to do, like, we've done some surface mount soldering kits, but none were really designed specifically with like beginning surface mount soldering in mind. Like, they're beginner friendly, but it wasn't like a beginning surface mount soldering kit. And, you know, I've seen some all over the place, of course. But I wasn't, you know, they weren't pretty. That's the main thing. One, they weren't pretty. And there were just a few things that I wanted to put on that I thought that like a nice surface mount soldering kit should have that they didn't have. So we made up this one. It is also, of course, 555 timer based. It kind of turned out and then became by design that all of our surface mount soldering kits have something to do with the 555 timer. And I need to write up more on the website about the circuits and how they work, because they are all cool. They are all different ways of blinking lights using 555 timers and sometimes other chips. And yeah, it's just, that's kind of part of the fun, is like learning about the circuit too. So this one was from a circuit that I actually saw on homemade-circuits.com. And they had like a cool one with a bunch of 555s that was sort of like a Christmas tree light sort of a thing. And so basically you have like 4 different 555 timers, which in our case, we're using 2 dual 556 packages. And you have 1 inverter. And what the inverter does is just, it inverts the signal, obviously, but it just basically adjusts it flips the on and the off time so that you get like a little bit more of a flashing effect. Stick this one on here. Oh no. What'd I just do? It worked for a second and then it did not. There we go. It might be that these batteries are getting kind of low. Okay. So yeah, this one has 2 CR2032s actually, because we're blinking a lot more LEDs here. But or it can be USB powered, and this is actually a USB mini, because those are the only ones that are easy-ish to hand solder. USB micros, the micro Bs and the Cs are like, they're very hard to hand solder because they're a lot finer pitch, and the Cs have a bazillion pins on them, even though we're only using power and ground, you know? So these ones are actually through hole. I made a specific pattern that extended legs to either side, so it's a little bit easier to solder, because otherwise the annular ring would be really tiny. And anyway, so here's this board. Okay, back to 555 timers. So those are on the back. You can see that each of the flowers is blinking at a different rate here. So each of the 555 timers is controlling that and is tuned for a different blink rate. And then so that's 4 of them. And then 2 of them actually get fed into an inverter and are diode ORed together. And so that's this one that sort of looks a little bit more random, flashy than the other ones. It kind of like blinks a little and then pauses and then blinks a little bit more and then pauses instead of just being like kind of this steady flicker. And then on the back, we have some, see if we can get a little bit closer here. Okay. Oh, too close. Just a little too close. Ooh, no. There. Okay. So on the back, we have this area. These are just double stick tapes for the battery. But we have these straight areas for your practice stalks. So you can practice like lining them all up and having them nice and even and, you know, not crooked or at weird angles. And then for half of these, I attached one of the pads to a ground pour, because one of the things that that I've noticed that people kind of immediately have a problem with when coming from a kit to like an actual real life circuit board is that real life circuit boards have ground pours or power pours, and then they have spoke connects to them. And even when they have these spoke connects and you have some thermal relief there, it still takes a lot more heat to heat up that pad, because the heat, you know, immediately kind of goes into the pour and dissipates a little bit. So what I've seen happen is like people are like, oh, this is great, I'm getting great at soldering these, and then they run into something that has one of those pads, and then they're like, what am I doing wrong? I can't solder anymore. I thought I could solder. I thought I had learned this, and now suddenly I can't, and I don't know why. And that's what's happening. So, and it's totally normal. It's just something to get used to. You know, you are generally soldering surface mount stuff with magnification. So you see something that has like some spokes coming out of it, and you're like, okay, this is going to take a little bit more heat. I might need a bigger tip. I might just need to put the soldering iron on it for a little longer. I might want to use more flux because the liquid helps conduct the heat. But, you know, you can anticipate that it's going to be, you know, you're going to just need a little bit more than another pad that's just going to like a trace. So, yeah. And we have a bunch of different packages on here as well. And so we have capacitor and resistor spots for 1206s. In the practice stocks, we have 1206s, 603s, and 402s. We don't have 805s because the 805s make up the actual circuit. So, you know, you get your big experience with 1206s and then some little experience with 603s. You know, we have the 402s on there for practice later, but I would definitely say to maybe not try 402s your first time. Like, get some experience, get to where you're comfortable with the bigger stuff, and then tackle the 402s. And yeah, so you do the big 1206s, smaller 603s, and then you're like, okay, if I can handle those two, I'm totally down with the 805s, and I can put the rest of the circuit together. And then we also have some diode patterns. We have a SOD 323, which is like a relatively small surface mount diode with little legs. And then we have the mini MELFs over here, which are the kind of old school glass packages, round. You don't see them that much anymore, but I think that they're pretty and they're fun to solder, and they also tend to roll around on you, so it makes it a little extra challenging. You know, part of the point of like learning how to solder is also to learn how to deal with challenges. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that is the SMT Garden. So blinky, and this artwork is also by Lee Borg. They're doing an awesome job for us. Thank you. Yeah. Whew, I think I'm out of stuff to talk about. It's been an hour. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Do we have anything else going on? There are a lot of irons in the fire. So many ideas and like just a couple of us. So that does limit our new things rate. Coincell power boards are hopefully soon. Ran into a little bit of a snag with the PCB manufacturer. We just got some in. We got like the production run in, and the silk screen is like it's very smeared and not very good looking. So, you know, all of the words, all the test points, you know, our name, the board name, all of that stuff kind of looks like dog shit. And so we're working with the circuit board manufacturer to hopefully have those remade and, you know, have some nice looking boards. And Cyber City Circuits is going to do the assembly on them for us. We have all the parts kitted up and ready to go. That's exciting. And then I do want to get the F uterus out at some point in time. It's, yeah, that's just a product of angst. Product of angst. I would like to do that. I do like the artwork on that one, even though it's mine and therefore not as good. But I do like it, and I'd also like to get that going. Also, to, you know, be able to donate a little extra to probably either NARAL or Planned Parenthood, one of those two. NARAL being a nonprofit for pro-choice, a pro-abortion, pro-choice nonprofit. So yes, so that is going to happen at some point, and that will probably be a surface mount board. And the other thing that I think is going to get revived life after having some super cool chats with a bunch of people at Crowd Supply at SuperCon is the RBG RGB, because I would really like to get back to that. I actually managed to buy some processors. So yeah, so I could actually, I think, get those boards made, unless suddenly the LEDs are unobtainium, which, who knows. But that was the main one, is that I couldn't get the processors for a while, so I had put that on the back burner. But I think we're about ready to apply to Crowd Supply, and I think that would be a fun campaign. It's like a at tiny 4, 5, 9, or 10 dev board, and we could get some good demo code going on with it and see what other people make, because like that's part of why I'm interested in doing this, is to see what other things people do with these stupidly tiny, wonderfully incapable chips. Anything else? I don't think so. All right, that's it. I think we will be back to guests next week. We're kind of like shuffling stuff around, getting some invites out. I definitely talked to a lot of people at SuperCon, and like everybody said yes, which is really exciting. So yeah, I'm excited about the upcoming guests that we're going to have on. All right. Well, everybody have a good weekend. I hope that if you also went to SuperCon, that you are able to take a chill weekend this weekend and relax and recover. All righty. We'll see you all next week. Bye. We're ending.